Hello and welcome to Dog Days, where we talk about all things cannabis. I'm your hostess with the mostest, Holly B. In this episode, we are going to explore the uncharted realms where cannabis culture intersects with the supernatural and the unexplained. My special guest for this unique journey is the host of Varied State, Mr. Sam Taylor. Welcome to the Doghouse. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you, Holly. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good. This is going to be an exciting one here. This is going to be really different for my show. I'm usually interviewing doctors and nurses and talking about medical cannabis. So I'm kind of excited to switch up gears a little bit with you today.
Sure, yeah. Well, we'll get into all kinds of fun stuff because while we still like cannabis, we still like paranormal. So here we go.
Awesome. So, well, first of all, tell me a little bit about yourself. What got you into the cannabis field?
Into the cannabis field, basically, when I was younger, okay, we had some smoke and we had some seeds and things like that. As you get to the point where you have a young family and you take on a professional occupation, that seems to go by the wayside. Well, the kids are grown and out. They've been gone for a number of years now. And I had been in the insurance business for 38 and a half years. And it's like, oh my gosh, I just got to the point where I was just so burned out on it. Was very, very successful, did, a lot more sales than a lot of agents have ever thought of. And I woke up one day and I looked at my wife and I said, you know what? I said, I am just so tired of this. I said, it's always people's problems. It's always hearing people complain about their rate went up. I'm in the middle. I don't have any control over that stuff. I'm just taking the heat. I said, I'm just done. And she goes, well, that's fine. Do whatever makes you happy as long as you're making money. She goes, I don't care what you're doing. And she goes, what are you thinking about? I said, I'm going to sell weed and chase ghosts. That's what I'm doing now. And let me just tell you, selling weed and chasing ghosts is a lot more fun than selling insurance. Okay.
That's awesome. You're living the dream.
There you go. So it all started with that. And then with that, a couple of years ago, I was actually, I had the third largest nicotine vape manufacturer in the world that make devices contacted me and asked me if, hey, would you be interested in selling our products? And it's like, well, you hit me at the right time because I was tired of what I'm doing. So they made me a nice offer. So I signed on, and for a year, I basically helped build the company. In March of 22, I started with them. They had nicotine disposable vapes at the time, which I don't do nicotine. So, that was not my thing. And then the reason I started with them was that in May, they actually came out with their Delta 8 program. And it's like, okay, this is cool. I'm getting into the cannabis side of things. So got into it, realized that, hey, if I'm going to be selling this stuff, I can't sell stuff I don't believe in. So I started using the Delta 8 that they were manufacturing and went from a point where from the time, and I just turned 61 last month. From the time I was 15 until I was 58, I would sleep anywhere from 3 to 4 hours a night. That was a consistent thing. On a good night, I might get 5 hours. So now I've got these Delta 8 vapes and I start hitting those things and I start sleeping 8 hours a night. And it's like, I'm waking up feeling better, feeling refreshed. It's like, wow, this is wonderful. And with that feeling and liking a product on the cannabis side of things again, I went ahead and said, hey, I'm going to really rock this. And I became the leading salesperson for the company in the U.S. on both the nicotine and the Delta side of the program. Okay. Unfortunately, about last June, they decided they were done selling products in the U.S. It was a Chinese company, of course. And they pulled out and they had a meeting on one day and said, hey, as of today, nobody's working anymore. Great. So luckily, because of the stuff that I do in the paranormal and the people that I hang with, I'm sort of intuitive on things at times. And so that happened in June. The beginning of May, I'm like, there's something going on. I don't know what it is. I'm feeling something. So I actually formed Varied State, got my federal ID number, got my domain names and all the stuff along those lines that I needed. And so in May I was ready, and then in June 6th they terminated the product. It's like, okay, well, I know what direction the universe is pushing me now. So here we are. It took a year, built everything up, got the website functional, Continued to work with my distributors and my vape stores, head store companies. And now I've got products that I feel very, very comfortable bringing to them that they can actually sell and make money, and they're a good quality product. And where I'm a little different than a lot of the other distributors out there, number one, I sample all my products, which can be very exhausting sometimes. Okay, one company sent me 18 little bags of Amanita muscaria mushroom gummies, and they're like, "Did you try those yet?" It's like, dude, there's 18 different things there. I can't do all that. So I go ahead and I do that, but I also am looking strictly for quality products. What I'll do is I don't want the stuff that everybody else has. I want the craft type product that the moms and pops are making, putting their hearts and soul. They've got the valid COAs. They're trying to make everything as clean as possible. And, here we are. So that's sort of the background of how I got from where I was to here, real quick.
Awesome. So you're fairly new if you just started up in May.
Well, no, it was no. I actually started in the cannabis space about 2 years ago in May.
Oh, okay. From insurance to cannabis, and now you're into selling craft products and paranormal.
Correct.
Awesome. And so this is your website.
Correct.
And what are we looking at here?
Well,
Some of your products?
Yeah. Up here at the top where it says Varied State Presents, that's actually a link to my paranormal show right on the main page.
Oh, cool. Okay.
So people can go in there. Right now, my teaser is up there and my trailer is up there. So I've got two different things, which gives some of the preview of what the show's about. And then right now, I'm actually working on the first full episode, which last weekend, my team and I run 2 paranormal teams. I also run a haunted location that's been on Discovery Plus on a show called Portals to Hell. Okay, we were season 1, episode 2, location called the Twin City Opera House. So anybody that investigates there comes through me. Okay, that's my place. So it works out really nice because it's a fully functioning theater. And they go ahead and, I've got the keys to the place. I just schedule stuff for whenever I want somebody to investigate at nighttime after the movies are done. And so it works out good for them. It works out good for me. But I took my team. So we have that location. I have one team that actually, there's 14 of us, and we rent places and do our own investigations and have fun. With that, last weekend, we were over at the Randolph County Asylum over in Winchester, Indiana, and we rented it for Friday night and Saturday night. So we slept in this abandoned asylum, along with doing all of our investigations and doing some various tests and different experiments. So we do that. I also run a team where there's 5 of us. Everyone is either an empath, a psychic, or a medium. And we do 5 to probably 6 to 8 cases a year where people call us and say, the kitchen cabinets are opening and closing and we're seeing shadow figures and this is happening. We've got noises and everything. And my team and I, we go figure out what's going on and cleanse the houses. And so we've been doing that for about 7 years now, and have been very, very successful working with everything from full possessions to elementals to incubus and succubus and shadow figures and all kinds of different stuff. Okay, so
wow.
So you've heard a little bit about my business side. You've heard a little bit about this side now, and what the premise of the show is, it's like, okay, we got to thinking about it, or I got to thinking about it, and I talked with my cleansing team and said, hey, what do you think? I said, I'm thinking we've got a lot of people out there that are investigating. Okay, if you take someone who has no abilities and they're able to go investigate, and you give them some form of a mind-altering substance, whether that be alcohol, cannabis, mushrooms, whatever it may be, okay? Will that open them up and allow them to perceive more, see more, and feel more, and open them up to the paranormal side of things? Then, if you take someone like myself or the rest of my cleansing team, and we go ahead and we do the same thing, will that expand our abilities? Okay. Or is it all just a figment of your imagination and all just in your head because of the chemical? So this last weekend we actually did an experiment where one person had utilized some gummies. Okay. The other person was completely sober. Okay, and we put on noise canceling headphones attached to a spirit box. And a spirit box is basically just a little box. It's like a radio. But you can make it scan forward or backward. You can change the scan rate so it scans, 15 channels a second or whatever. Um, and so we set it up to scan backwards, and it was doing about 15 or 20 channels a second. And as it's doing this, you're sitting there with these a blinder on, so like a sleep mask, and the noise canceling headphones. And as that's coming, if it says a word, you say the word out loud. And in this experiment, which we're going to show on on my actual show, I was the one who had eaten the gummies. My daughter was the one who had nothing. We're there. We're talking. At one point, another person on my team, Ted. Ted was actually doing all the filming and asking the questions. He said, my daughter and I, unbeknownst to us, are sitting there and we're arguing back and forth. I'd say something, she'd say something back, and we were going back and forth with our conversation. So I'm waiting to get that all done and put together for the show itself.
Wow.
And then, from there, my whole attitude and mood changed. Instead of sounding like me, he goes, man, you sound like you're something from the hood. You're like, yo, what's up, dog? And just but I'm saying things as I'm hearing them and sort of repeating them. When my daughter had taken on the personality of a gentleman who actually worked at the location, who actually had gone ahead and lived in this asylum, and she was picking up things from him. So as we're doing the channeling and all that, it's just sort of come into play, and we're seeing what happens.
So it does kind of enhance that part of the brain and opens you up to that dimension, huh?
Absolutely.
Wow.
So yeah, on the website you can see I put all kinds of different information about, if I find something on the product that helps people, valid information. There's a lot of stuff on there like that. This is more than just the fact that, hey, I have product and I sell it. This is more about, let's build it up, let's get people information, and share the experience with some of this stuff.
Yeah, and you're also a partner on Weed and Whiskey TV. Are you on Citizen Green TV as well, or?
Yes. Yeah, my show is on Citizen Green. Okay, on the Weed and Whiskey. So you'll find it under Varied State Presents. And so that is there. Like I said, with everything that I do, it's taken me a little bit longer to get my first full episode together, but we're using real filming and things at locations, along with interviewing people and that. The first episode is going to be called Witches and Weed. Okay, and what we're doing is we're looking, with witches. They are very much into herbal type things and nature and all that, and there is a lot of cannabis used in their actual ceremonies and things like that. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead. I'm speaking with a friend of mine who is a retired, she was a high priestess. Okay. And so an interview scheduled to go through all that with her, to ask her, well, hey, how does this happen? And what does in the world of witchcraft, what happens with this and that? So that's going to be a very interesting interview once it finally comes through. She also owns a haunted location. It's probably one of the most haunted locations in the U.S. And she said, hey, if you want access to this, all you got to do is tell me. You just come in, do it. I'll be there. We'll do interviews. We'll do experiments, whatever you want to do. So that's going to be a fun setup.
Oh, you're going to be a kid in a candy store.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I've been to this house before, and one of our team members actually tried to conjure a demon that's in the basement and all that. So things like it's a crazy thing when you put yourself into this position and other people. So.
Right, exactly. This is fantastic. I'm going to take a really quick break. When we come back, let's kind of delve into, I think you have some evidence footage, and you can walk us through that and tell us all the story behind that deal. So Absolutely. Let's go ahead and take a really quick break and come right back and jump right back into it.
You got it.
Ethereal Gold Dispensary, the best kept secret around. Legal cannabis, mushrooms, and more straight to your doorstep. Each product is meticulously tested, setting the ethereal gold standard nationwide. And we're not just in it for the greenbacks, folks. We honor our troops and veterans with a special discount. Plus, 2% of every purchase goes to local charities. Visit etherealgolddispensary.com and use the code RADIOHIGH for 15% off. Enjoy yourselves, my friends.
And we're back after a really quick break. We are having a wonderful chat, kind of scary chat, with Mr. Sam Taylor with Varied State, where cannabis meets the paranormal. And he was telling us all about how cannabis kind of opens up the mind to that other dimension and his experiences. We're going to continue the conversation now with some kind of disturbing evidence videos. So why don't you walk us through what's going on, Sam?
Well, the first one we've got, this is about 2019. My team and I were actually called to a house about 20 miles from where we live. Okay. And the mom had two children, a 4-year-old boy who was on the spectrum and a 2-year-old girl. Okay. They had been seeing a tall black man in the corner of mom and dad's bedroom. So as you see, when this started actually playing, and let me go back to the beginning because I didn't realize I was in control of that. Okay, so we go into the mom and dad's bedroom, and we've got our SLS camera out, and we see this thing walk across the bed, crawl across the bed actually, stand up in the corner, and then right in this area, just to the right side, you can actually see the line where the corner of the room is. So that's what the kids were seeing. They were scared to death. My team and I went in. We actually got rid of the spirit of one of the original owners of the house who was there, a little old lady. She was in a different room. They got her out, and the balance, the remainder of us worked on this particular entity to get it out. We were successful on this particular case, which we are on most of them. Not every one, but most of them. Got it out, and I haven't actually heard from them since about 2021. So that's a good thing. I tend not to call people back and ask them, hey, how's things going? Because then you stir things up. If there's a problem, they got my number, they know where to call. So now, are you familiar with the SLS camera, Holly?
No, I'm not. What is that all about?
Well, what you're looking at, are you familiar with the Xbox 360? Where you can play Wii and all that stuff on the TV, and it puts you as a stick figure.
Oh, yeah. I have a Wii. Yeah.
That's basically what this is. Okay, it's using the Microsoft, the Microsoft 360 camera. Okay, using the Microsoft software, and then we have it as a portable unit with a little tablet. And so what happens is, as we do this thing picks up things in the room that the human eye cannot see, and it maps them out. So for this thing to go ahead and say, okay, we're going to go ahead, and it just randomly picks up something walking across the bed where you've been told there's an issue, and then it sees it standing up in the corner, this goes right along with the story that we're being told. So that's what you're looking at, and it's called an SLS, which is red light spectrum or something. I forget what's actually called.
Wow. So this is a ghost, you're saying? It's kind of manifesting itself in that form?
Yep. There's the camera is picking up something there going across that bed and going ahead and standing up in the corner. And like I said, that's the children have seen this thing standing. Okay.
Oh my word.
Okay. Now there's other things that we can do, and I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and remove that one off of here. Okay. Stage. Okay. So now we're back.
Wow.
Let me grab a different one.
Mm-mm. I'm gonna have to stage my computer after the show.
No, be careful. Don't use just any sage.
Do they follow you home, Sam?
I've had attachments, yes. Okay.
Oh Lord.
We had gone to up to Vermont and to a location called Wilson Castle, which is one of my favorite locations. This castle is unbelievable. We had gone in there. The owners of the location don't even like to go up on the third floor of the castle. Okay. So I sort of don't pay attention to things, it's like, okay, whatever, So that night, we were actually there for 2 nights, and the rest of my team stayed down on the second floor. I stayed up on the third floor by myself. Okay. Now, while I'm up there on the third floor, there's actually a room off of where I was sleeping that was used as a ballroom. Okay, back in the day. Now, in the middle of this ballroom was a wicker casket, like one of the ones you see on the back of a wagon being pulled by a horse-drawn carriage. Okay, go and pick up the dead, throw them in this casket, and then take them to the funeral parlor or whatever. So it was sitting there. So I got into it and closed the lid and did an EVP session, asking who am I with and yada, 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 and questions like that. And anyway, that something attached to me while I was in there, and it took me about 3 days to figure it out. I came home, and one of the things that happens after a long investigation is you get what is termed in the industry as a paranormal hangover. Okay. And with that, you're normally work your daytime hours or whatever. And now all of a sudden you're getting someplace at 6 or 7 o'clock at night, and you're staying up till 3, 4, 5 in the morning investigating, and your time frame gets all jacked up. And you just get to the point where your body is just not where it normally is. So we left there on Sunday. Now it was a 10-hour drive home. So we drove 10 hours up, investigated for 2 days, 10-hour drive home. Okay. Got home. And so the first day it's like, I just don't feel like, I feel like I've been hit by a truck. Okay. And then the second day it continued. And then the third day it continued. And it's like, okay, I've got something here. And one of the other team members had something also. So we sort of cleansed ourselves and got rid of it. But yeah, there are things that follow you home. Unfortunately, with me, I'm the one who a lot of times has the visions of what's going to happen before we go to a location. So here at my house one night, I was actually that particular night, I fell asleep on the couch. And about 3 o'clock, I woke up, and over standing by my garage door was a shaman, the spirit of a shaman. And he had on the actual wolf head, on his head and the whole thing. And I looked over there, and I got up and walked toward him, and he disappeared. And then he came back one other time. And that particular case was a case up in Defiance, Ohio. And he was coming because he wanted to help us with a dark entity that was under the steps of his house. And he wanted to help, but he'd never been invited in. So, I see the things, I feel things and all that. Now, I don't consider myself a medium. It's like, that's sort of too big of a step for me at this point, but I do see, hear and feel things. Okay. I'm the weakest one on my team. My team is unbelievable. I mean, they one of the guys in our team, he can actually go ahead and say, hey, Ted, I need you to go to Holly's house and see what's going on. And he can tap into your house. And before we go down there, he'll say, yeah, the room was green and it had, red carpet, and it had this couch in the corner, and he can actually do like remote viewing, like you hear about that the CIA was doing in all their tests here recently. So he has abilities like that. So we got some really strong people, really strong mediums, and it works well because we all work together. Whereas I'm the front man, I'm the one who talks to people, I'm the one who does the interviews. Because when we do cases like this, I've got a 13-page questionnaire that we use. And that questionnaire asks questions that I never thought I'd be asking ladies, but some of these cases are physical. And so we've got to ask the questions to build that profile. We had one particular case where a woman was she had ADHD and anxiety and a bunch of other things since she was on all these meds. Well, when we got there, she hadn't seen her doctor for over a year. And last time she was at her doctor, she was almost 300 pounds. When we were there, she was 148, and she's seen things. Well, sometimes you can be over-medicating because of the difference in weight. So that's the types of things we look at, because we want to rule out anything in there that is a a physical issue, okay, whether it be mold, whether it be over medication, whether it be, whatever. We want to eliminate all that and then see if maybe there's something paranormal there. Not everything is paranormal. There's a lot of people out there who are over medicating. There's a lot of people out there who have very, very vivid imaginations. There's a lot of people out there who just want to be on TV and they're making, I'm not going to say making it up, but they're elaborating on things, more than what they needed to. Okay. And so it takes a while to go through and do this. And that's what we do with our interviews, because we want to be as thorough as we can because we're trying to help people. My team doesn't charge. Okay. So if I drive 150 miles one way to a location on a Saturday with my team, I buy the gas, we go up there, and then we take care of what we can. Sometimes we have to go back a second or a third time. And I don't ask for any money for that, because how can you tell a single mom and children that are having a paranormal or a haunting issue that, oh, well, we can't come up because we don't have $25 for gas? I can't do that. So it's our community service.
Oh, Sam, that's awesome. That's fantastic. Because I know if I was haunted, I wouldn't know what to do. I mean, I'm Native American, so I would definitely burn some sage and
Yep, there you go.
Do some praying for sure.
Whatever your religious belief is, you go with that, and do the the saging is a good thing. You just have to to make sure you use the correct sage, because different sage does different things. And too many people out there are just buying just typical old white sage at the whatever shop they're going to. And a lot of times that just makes things explode and creates more problem. It stirs things up. And so that's the biggest problem that I find. Oh, yeah, we've been saging and things got worse. Well, no crap. I mean, that's the way, that's what happens. So
you're stirring the pot with the wrong stick, with the wrong spoon.
Exactly. And then you have to realize, whatever your belief system is, you have to ask the higher power for help, because it's not necessarily you. It's not me and my team. We are vessels that are being given a gift to help people. And that's why we don't charge. It's like, if we're being given something, we don't do it. So,
Sam, you're amazing. Absolutely amazing. And if we can get the rest of your team on sometime, that would be fantastic.
Oh, I'm sure
my door is always open if you want to come on and give an update or anything like that. This is really fascinating stuff right here. I'm loving it. I'm going to take a really, really quick break. I'm a disabled combat veteran, and I like to do a little female veteran tribute about mid-show. So it's about a 2-minute video, and we'll be right back to talk some more, Sam. Hold on. are back with Mr. Sam Taylor with A Buried State, going through some very interesting topics of the paranormal. I'm going to let you go ahead and pick back up, Sam. What would you like to talk about next?
Well, we were talking about my team. Okay.
Yes.
So let me give you a little bit of information because we're a very diverse group. Okay. First off, I'm 61, I own Varied State, so I'm selling cannabis, I've been in the insurance business and all that. One of the other guys in our team, Ted Williams, Ted is a corrections officer. Okay. He's 64 years old. So he's, a couple years older than me, but a completely different type of background. Brandy, Brandy Jeffers is on our team also. Brandy is a paralegal, okay, and she is an exceptional medium. I mean, psychic medium. She's really, really good. Faith Fisher is another one of our mediums. Faith is 27, I think, right now.
Just a baby.
Yeah, she's an STNA. Okay. So, she has, her young family going and all that. And she is an unbelievable medium too. Picks up on things, we'll go to a client's house and both Brandy and her work really well together. And they'll go, hey, we had a feeling about this. Has this happened in your background? And these people are like, how did you know that? Nobody knows that but my husband or whatever. So they're very, very intuitive to pick up on things. And then we have Misty Medley. Misty doesn't go with us as much anymore as she used to. Her life situation has changed, and she's got 2 young children. So she goes when she can, and when she does, same type thing. She and Brandy and Faith are just like, all 3 of them are like lockstep in anything that we're doing, and they're all picking up the same information. So, and Misty is an actual service writer at a Chevy dealership. So you've got a very diverse background of people. You've got, men, women, you've got very diverse occupations. So that's what makes us so unique. It's not like everybody's all the same. And, we have some crazy discussions because not everybody believes the same things, and that's absolutely fine. As long as you can talk about things, that's fine. You can still talk about things and be friends, and that's what we are. So it makes it real nice because you hear other perspectives too. And it took me a while to go ahead and realize what the whole spiritual side of this was. With my background, my mom and my dad were both deacons in the church, and they were on the call committees and on the boards and all that. My little brother is also, okay, and that was never my gig. I mean, I'm not saying that there is no belief. That's not what I'm saying, but it's just the whole doing everything with the church just wasn't my thing. So, I had my belief system and I knew what I was doing. And when I got hooked up with my team originally back in about 2013, we started investigating and having fun. And this was just our general team. And, we'd go to locations and it's like, well, how did we see that thing? Well, really, was that really something, or was that knock something, or is that in our head? And you're trying to go ahead and talk yourself out of it being something, okay? And then as things progressed and a core group of us decided, hey, well, let's go ahead and do some of the cleansings and things, that's when it really got crazy. And what started me off was in about 2017, my dad had pulmonary fibrosis, okay? He was on 10 liters of oxygen. And I was over at the house. My brother and I had taken turns spending the night at the house so mom could get some sleep. Well, Dad, that particular night around midnight, he always sort of stirred around and wanted a drink of water. So he stirs around and says, hey, can you get me a drink? Okay. It's like, sure. So my dad and I had this very unique type of a relationship where, if he saw me driving down the street one way and I saw him going the other way, we'd both be flipping each other off. I mean, that was just us. We messed with each other, jokes, fun. It was all that. And anyway, so, he stirs around his chair that night. He goes, hey, I need a drink. So I got him a drink of water. And then he stands up. Now, he had lost about 80 pounds at this point because of the problem that he had. And he stood up and he was sort of wobbly and moving around. So I went over and put my belly against his and gave him a bear hug and was holding him. And we're talking and all that. And I go, you doing okay? And we had a little conversation. I said, you know what? I love you. And he said, I love you back. Laid his head right there on my left shoulder and died standing in my arms. Okay.
Oh my God.
And it's like, that's like and I remember holding him and not wanting to set him down because I knew once I set him down, the party was over. But I heard that last breath go out, so I knew what had happened. So that
Hmm.
died in 2018. 2018,
Hmm.
my mom, who was 79 at the time, was diagnosed with the precursor to adult onset leukemia. And they were giving her some meds to keep it from happening. And they said that if it did flip to full bloom leukemia, she had anywhere from 60 to 90 days to live. Well,
Hmm.
that happened in the first part of April of 2020. And so my wife and I had gone over to, she was staying in an assisted living facility.
Yeah.
And we had gone over there. And it was actually on my birthday. And I'm sitting there and I'm sitting in a chair and mom's feet are like right in front of me and her head's at the far end of the room. And I'm sitting there looking and I see this gold glitter coming down in the corner of the room. And it's
Oh
like,
my.
that's cool. And I asked my wife, I said, hey, do you see that? And Brenda says, no, I don't see that. And it's like, okay. So I went over and sat by my wife. I could still see it. She couldn't. We changed places, same thing. So I went over, sat by mom. And when I was sitting there with her, I went ahead and grabbed her hand. And she had been unresponsive for 3 days, had not moved, nothing. And so I sat there and I was holding her hand. I told her, I said, hey, it's time for you to go to the light. I said, this is not how you wanted to be. I said, it's okay to let go. I said, my brother and I will be there soon, at some point to see you again. You're always able to come back to the light to visit. That's an okay thing. That's how people get that smell of their grandma or the smell of their grandfather's cigar or whatever. I said, you're welcome to come back. I said, but you need to let go. She went ahead and squeezed my hand just like twice and went and was gone. So I was in physical contact with her at the same time. Well, that really, between mom and dad both going, that just sort of stirred up something in me and made the spirituality start getting stronger and stronger and stronger. Now, with some people, it comes and goes. So like right now, I'm very, very much into the physical side of the world, building my business, doing things like that. So some of my abilities have disappeared. Okay. They'll be back. Okay. As times change and you can get more into the spiritual side, more things open up. So that's a little bit about the background of where I ended up with. Now, like I said, my team, I'm the weakest one on the team. Now, I'm gonna say that again because I don't want the four of them to gang up and kick my rear end here, because, but it works well with what we do with people and our understandings of the situations and spirituality, whether, you're a pagan, you're a witch, you're a Christian, you're Muslim, whether, whatever, Jewish, it doesn't matter. There's always something there that you can rely on. So.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you for sharing that. That is really interesting stuff. And opening up like that and making yourself vulnerable to us and giving us an insight into what is making you you. And coming up with this fantastic show and a fantastic team and doing fantastic things for people in need who don't know necessarily what to do when things go bang at night. And it's usually 3 o'clock in the morning. So what's up with the 3 o'clock in the morning thing? Do you have any insight on that?
The theory on the 3 o'clock in the morning, it's supposedly Jesus Christ died at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it's the complete opposite. Okay, you're yin and yang. Okay, and that's what the theory is on that. I can tell you down at the Opera House, okay, down in McConnellsville, the one that I run, there's two little. This is a cool story. You're gonna like this one. But there's two little spirit girls down there. One's named Elizabeth, and one's named Sarah. There's actually 11 spirits down there that we've made contact with. Okay, and then there's a couple of portals. So there's travelers that come in and out. So we go down there. There's different things there sometimes. But anyway, so with the two little spirit girls, they were used to me going down there all the time. In July of 2022, I was over at the shop working on my race car, and I decided to move some stuff around and clean some stuff up. So I was putting a cross member up on the wall, and I was holding it, and I'm tying it down with a motorcycle tie down. And I looked down, and my left bicep completely separated. Okay, it's like, oh, so the muscle just completely went. So I had to have surgery. So that surgery happened in the middle of July. and I wasn't able to go down there for a couple 4 to 6 weeks or whatever, and just because it hurt and I didn't want to go up and down the steps and all that. So I was here one night and I'm laying in bed. Okay, I'm laying on my back and I have my arm like this. My wife's laying on my left side, and my wife goes, "Hey, did you just poke me in the forehead?" And I said, "No, I didn't." And a minute later, I feel a little hand just take and squeeze my finger. Okay, it's like, "It's okay, girls." I said, "Thank you for checking on me, but you need to go back to the Opera House." And still to today, if I'm not down there about every 6 weeks, the two of them actually show up here, and I can just feel their presence, because when I go to the Opera House, it's the same thing. I get the same exact feeling from them when I'm down there. So I live 60 miles or 65 miles from that location. So they're traveling a long way to check on me. Okay. And then they go back. And when I go back down there, they're there. They've got their own little setup at the Opera House where they've got toys laid out, little tea sets, things like that. I mean, so we try to do things that actually mean something to them. Okay. Because most of the spirits that are out there, everybody wants to make everything being a demon. Everything is dark and nasty, and it's not that way. A lot of times it's your grandma, she's passed, and she wants you to know that, hey, there's a set of earrings and a bracelet in her drawer that she wants you to have, and there's a letter underneath her mattress, but she doesn't know how to get that information to you. So she's trying things, and people are saying, think that it's a haunt and it's scary. She just wants to get that message across, and once she does, she goes through the light, and all's good. Okay, so that's where people are so confused on some of this stuff. There's a lot of spirits out there. There's a lot of spirits out in the world. They're not all bad. Okay, and the way that we look at it, and different mediums and different psychics and things like that have spoke over this in various formats over the years, that there's a difference between a ghost and a spirit. Okay, and the way that we see it, picture someone it was just a real jerk in life. They're going to be a jerk in death. Okay, so they die. They don't want to go to the light because they don't know what's going to happen on the other side, whether they're going to be going up or be going down. Okay, so they're going to stay here and mess with you. Okay, so that's where your ghosts and your things like that happen, where you've got the noises and the haunts and all that stuff. Okay, so those are earthbound spirits that have never been to the light. Then you have your spirits. And the spirits are people that have actually come in, they've crossed over, they've gone through the light, they have been judged for whatever they needed to be judged for, and now they're just a spirit that can come back and forth, and they can come and check on you, and that's where you get the smell of your grandpa's cigar, or you feel like your mom always touched you in a certain place on your shoulder, and it's like, darn it, I know she's there, I just felt that again. Okay, so we try to be as nice as we can to the spirits, because that's somebody's grandma, that's somebody's daughter, that's somebody else. It's not the way they make it in a lot of the TV shows, where they're just trying to raise Cain and create problems and all this stuff, because they're not doing anything nice. This was a person at one point. So yeah. A little different philosophy with the way that we do it. There's a lot of people who feel like we do, but then again, there's nothing set, because this is all theoretical anyway. So everybody does what they can.
That's super interesting. I'm going to ask you a question about aliens.
Okay.
Have you had any interaction with weird things going on, and it's actually like alien visitors?
I have not personally. Okay. We had a case that we did. It's been a couple of years ago, and we couldn't narrow it down to something paranormal, and that was the direction that we were going with it. But after a little while, the activity stopped, and we didn't have to really pursue anything further. I've never seen an alien. I've never, as far as I know, I've never been exposed to that. But that doesn't mean that that's not what some of this is too, because as you talk about things coming through portals in different dimensions, okay, is that the spirit of a long lost loved one, or your mom, or your dad, or is it something from a different dimension that's coming through? Okay, now this is going to sound absolutely 100% crazy, but like the rest of what I've talked about isn't. But Bigfoot's always coming and going. Nobody can ever find a Bigfoot body or whatever. Is Bigfoot somebody that travels through these portals and comes and then goes back through? I don't know, but it's something to think about, because if the spirits are going through and the ghosts are coming in, why couldn't that be something? So now I'm 100% crazy. See that?
Yeah, again, that's something in Native American culture is Bigfoot, and he is a spirit who is here to help us and warn us and kind of commune with us when we need assistance. So, and that's just Native American culture about Bigfoot. But
See,
yeah,
I've read a lot of stuff about Native Americans, and I'm not saying I know everything. I have no Native blood myself, okay? But it's interesting with the things that they do, because when you look at how they talk about the portals, and they talk about things coming back and forth and using the ancestors and all that, that's a lot of the same stuff that we see. Okay, so it's a really interesting looking at the two of them to see, okay, well, you've got the Native Americans saying this was happening, you've got the Mayans saying this happened, you've got all these different cultures all over the world talking about the same thing in portals and floods and whatever. When all these things were so disassociated with all these groups based upon where they were living, there's got to be some commonality there. And it's just keeping the open mind and not saying, oh, that's just garbage or whatever. And and luckily a lot of the people in the paranormal field are that way. They're like, oh, could be, I don't know, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But that's the way it works.
well, if you ever want to come out here to Wyoming, we have a portal on our property, apparently. My partner, who is in a hemp partner, we have some property out on the reservation, and we were going to start a hemp operation. And she said, Holly, you have to get that cleansed. Get the land cleansed. So we had a young gal come out there, and she goes, well, have you had any kind of alien experiences? Mm-hmm. And I said, well, my family has, but I haven't really. We were in our trailer out there, and a big light, like a big headlight, just kind of shone, lit the whole place up. And then it was gone. And so that happened. So I said, well, yeah, kind of some weird things have happened out there. And she said, well, you have a huge portal out here, and it's like right next to your property. And don't get a shaman, don't get a medicine man, don't bring anyone out to try and close it, because it's been here forever.
Right. It's part of the land,
It's not going anywhere. So live with it.
Well, that's like, you're familiar with elementals.
Okay. Elementals? No. What's that?
Basically,
I could talk to you for hours.
Yeah, we could. Elementals, basically, in the Native American beliefs in that, there are always little like tree gnomes or whatever that are in the forest.
Oh yeah, the little people.
Yeah, exactly.
The little people, yeah.
Well, we've actually run into one of those. But when you tick those things off, they get big and bad and ugly and nasty. And we had one of those up near Cleveland, where there was a house, and the lady that owned the house was a psychic medium, and she used that portion of the house as her for work. Okay, she'd have customers come in, and they would do seances and readings and whatever. So there was a lot of activity in there, and it was a lot darker than what she projected that it was. Well, eventually she shut that down and moved her business in town. So she rented that part of the house out to our client. And our client was there, and things were crazy. She was seeing things. Our client was very gifted, and she was picking up, but she was scared to death. So we drove up there, and Misty, that I told you about, that was on my team, was there that time. And we were in the room, and she saw this elemental that actually just came in, and it just came up the corner of the room, came right over her. And like, if this is her head, it's like right here, just looking at her, just trying to scare her off. And what we ended up doing with that one, there's no way that you're going to get rid of that. So what we did is we found out there was a particular tree that this thing seemed drawn to. So we went out, we left some fresh strawberries, some honey, some tobacco, left some gifts underneath that tree for that particular entity. And then once we did that, we told the girl, said, hey, first of every month, you need to go out and make this little offering out And she did that, and she was only there about another 6 or 8 months. But each month she'd do that, and everything quieted way down because this thing was recognized, and it knew that we weren't creating a problem for it, or she wasn't. It was the fact that the county was changing the road and doing a lot of stuff and destroying the nature that was in that area. So yeah, so we've actually dealt with them. We've dealt with an incubus, well, 2 incubus, 1 succubus. Okay, are you familiar with those?
No, not really. I'm not even going to try.
One of them, the incubus is a spirit, a minor demon, whatever, that's actually showing itself as a male and has sexual relations with the female. Okay. Succubus is opposite. It's a female that does it with a living male. Okay. We've run into those a couple of times, and they can be pretty scary. We had a case. It was actually our first case over in Piqua, Ohio, and we were there, and we worked, and we were trying to get its name, and finally it told us that its name was Angel. It's like, yeah, right, okay, yeah, you're something nasty, and you're called Angel. Okay, got it. But this guy had, he was in his early 40s. He had this attachment, he says, since he was at least 15. And it was always there whenever he and his wife were getting ready to go out for an anniversary or a date night or whatever.
He jealous.
Scratches and everything all over his groin and couldn't do anything. So we went over there, and it took a while. We finally got this thing and got it to break loose from him. And when it did, he goes, you know what? He goes, ever since I was 15, I've had this voice in my head, and I can always hear it talking to me, doing this, doing that, whatever. He goes, it's never been quiet. He goes, my head's quiet right now. I don't hear anything. And we're like, wow, that's cool. This was our first real case. But as soon as we separated and broke that attachment from this thing to him, it jumped into his wife. And then we had to go ahead and cleanse her. And we got it out, of course, the same night. But, and, it was just very interesting seeing that, because, you've got these different spirits, and they are some sort of demonic entity is what they are. And now it's gone. It's never come back. So, and that was been like 7 years ago. So we dealt with Satan worshipers that have cursed houses. We dealt with, people that have had, murders on their property, and, dead bodies in cars and things like that. And, to the point where, things are moving in the house. And, we've actually done things with Solomon's Circle and trying to conjure the entity out, which, of course, I'm the one who does that. So that's scary. When you look back at the way you were born and raised, that's a no-no. You don't ever do that. But it's like, that's the only way we can help the lady out. And so we've done things like that. I mean, we Satan worshipers that have put curses on houses. Those were fun. I mean, there's so many different things, and every case is different. So,
Sam, I can't wait to see your show. I am definitely going to subscribe, and I'm going to be a follower of all the cool stuff that you're doing. So we're running out of time, unfortunately. Is there anything you would like to leave with as we exit the show here?
Well, the big thing is, number one, if you don't know what you're doing, don't try to do a cleanse. You're opening yourself up to problems. Okay. Find somebody who has done it, who has experience and knows what they're doing. Okay. Now,
awesome.
It's all theoretical. So, some of us are guessing still, but we've at least got experience and other team members to back us up. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I want to tell people. If you want to go ghost hunt, fine, go ghost hunt, have a good time, leave everything there. When you leave a location, make sure you say something like, okay, we were here, we investigated, nothing is allowed to go home with us. You're from this location, you must stay here, and be very forceful. Say whatever prayer you need to make sure that happens. Other than that, you'll find my show listing is right on the front page of my variedstate.com website. So you'll find that there, along with all the rest of the products and any announcements and things I put up there. I have an email list on there, so if somebody wants to try to follow what's going on and see the cool products we're coming out and the direction that we go, different things, that's absolutely fine too. It's just it's a lot of fun. You'll find if you're looking for all of my YouTubes and TikToks and all that stuff, I have a completely separate website. It's real hard to remember. It's samscontactinfo.com. Okay, so if you go there, that'll list all the information for Varied State at the top, and then down below that, it'll have all the paranormal stuff and things, and we update that occasionally. A lot of the things that we do, because of the severity, there's a lot of anonymity with certain things, and we can only show so much because a lot of people don't want all their friends and everybody to know what's going on because they don't want to seem crazy to their work or whatever. So we got
right.
That's about it.
Sam, thank you so much for coming on the show. I hope you come back on again. And folks, check out his show on Citizen Green TV. Varied State is the name of it. And stay tuned. Until next time, folks, stay safe out there.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.